Well, let me go back again then to your comment about how you got here from the 60s, and then the aspect of what you learned in the 60s you're now finding extremely important or useful to you. If you go back to that, I can't remember the words you used.
Yeah, that is an important point for me to try and make about the music, because I feel the challenge now from the avant-garde, I guess you'd call it, the more what has become almost an institution of daily revolution of all sorts of music and all things like that. You see, the fact that I'm writing tonal scores sometimes is viewed on as a cop-out or something, rather than continuing in an atonal language. Some of those things perhaps are important, but the real point is that from working as a performer and playing this music that we always look at, analyze, and admire for its complexity and so forth, I realized something that every person has to deal with for themselves, and that's how much faith do you have in that music? Is it saying everything that you want to be said? And I realized that it wasn't for me. I could feel that in the performances. What really did it was that no one seemed to know whether I had a good performance or a bad performance on some of these pieces. I knew. You know, I would know very well what I'd done in the piece, but sometimes I'd play a piece and I'd play it bad, and I'd come back after the performance, and people would say, "Whoa, wow, you know, that's an interesting performance." I thought, no, something's missing here. No one could have missed as many notes as I did, and have people think it was any good, you know. So that left some questions in my mind, and then the sense of satisfaction of what you're doing. And the sense of creating a positive image with what you're doing. So all of those things were questions that I wanted to solve in my own music. And I thought at first that in order to do that I'd have to give up all of this, all of the background in these other styles. And recently I realized that I don't. You know, there's still a lot of things going on. There's a lot of questions that I have yet. The question of form absolutely fascinates me. And some of the more recent pieces, overlaying various forms, overlaying some of the Navajo flute forms, which are just standard ideas, or some of the drumming cycles with classical forms. You know, suddenly you start putting three of those things together, it becomes pretty interesting. You know, and I love that question. The technique of how to write the music, there were a lot of techniques were developed in the 60s, and I used some of those. The other question is abstraction. You know, to what degree do you just choose every pitch? We've always had the thing about, I don't know why I'm trying to say this in a hurry. I'm just going to slow down for a second. Where the 12-tone method and total serialization of things, where a system chooses all the pitches, and we have these arrays of pitches, and the stuff sounds often kind of strange. Interesting, but strange. That still interests me in a way, and yet, on the other side, you know, should the composer say, yes, this is absolutely the note for every note, and how important is choosing every note, and that sort of thing. And right now, my feeling is I like to create the pieces, and there's a certain, it seems to be at a certain point where I don't care so much about whether it's this pitch or that pitch. It seems funny sometimes I'll have a performer come up and, oh, do you want this kind of trill or that kind of trill? And I've learned to say this kind of trill and try and be serious about it. But at that point in a piece, it just doesn't matter. Because, you know, when you're coming from ground zero on a piece, the structure, there's nothing there. It's a blank page. And by the time you get all these forces together, and these musicians and that, you know, the sopranos are coming in on this, and all these moments are taking place, a pitch doesn't seem like a very important thing anymore.
So this is the master's overview?
Well, yeah. I mean, it's these big blocks of sound starts. I mean, and that's the whole thrill. And it's the matter is you just have to get the pitches down in order to make it work. You know, there have to be the things in place. But so much of the concern in the 60s had to do with pitch ordering and structure and these very intricate things. And now I kind of feel, well, you can see how those things tend to go, and just plug them in and make them go, you know, because there's these marvelous other questions that you can deal with, the big
Why don't you
aspects.
play everything yourself? Every part, given the fact you use the synthesizer.
No, well, the synthesizer isn't the great machine that people crack it up to be. It's very nice. I enjoy playing it. It's very portable. It's extremely convenient, but it doesn't play like another instrument. I spend a lot of time on mine trying to make it play a certain way, so it feels a certain way. But in fact, it doesn't, and you lose all the input of the other players. I mean, you know, I think Frank Spinoza, the violinist, educates me every time we work together, you see, and he'll keep things on. Mark has given me so much information on playing, and Carlos too. You know, I really learn from those people, and learn a lot, and you know, it's fun. That's the fun thing about it. It's just nice to have that chance to work together. The sound man, you know, does it. He knows what he's doing.
That's lovely. That's fine. That's
Okay.
a great conclusion. Yeah. Yes. Okay. Well, I'm checking to make sure
Okay.
it's recorded all right, and I'll take it home
Well,
and listen to what you said.
okay. So